What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. So this is going to be a very short disclaimer that by the time you are watching this video, I actually did record this album reaction on the day Kendrick Lamar's new album had been released. And I do apologize immensely that it did take me way too long to post my album reaction of this record up. But nonetheless, I am going to be doing a full album review of this album very soon. Peace and love, and I hope you enjoy this video. What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. I just got back from the gym, and this is going to be a new video that I really wanted to do when I just got back home. An album reactions installment for a different artist. And this is immediately blazing up with the anticipation and high reception. Kendrick Lamar with his new album entitled Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Now, this is going to be my first time listening to this, and I am going to be doing an album review on this. I'm actually looking forward to this because I have been a big fan of albums like To Pimp a Butterfly, and I really like a lot of Damn, and even just loving Untitled Unmastered. So this is my first album reactions through a hip-hop artist, and let me know what you think of the record during the video or after you watch the video. Let's go. Track number 1, United in Grief. What is going on here? It started beautifully with the big harmonic start, and then it just goes in this like experimental, like I guess the avant-garde-ish type of scenario. I know that's an incorrect term, but it's like these random pieces, you know, like a music concrete type of thing, and then it just goes. And it sounds manic. It sounds manic. I can tell immediately that this is a new continuation onto how Kendrick feels. And that's what I really appreciate about his own honesty. This is wild. This is just immediately deep to begin an album like this. I mean, there are really political and darker lyrics on earlier albums, but King Kendrick is still not meant to be messed with. And I really admire in his own consciousness and his frame of mind that he can believe whatever he wants to believe, but this is just big stuff. Track number 2, N95. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. That third verse, when he just goes in that higher note while rapping, I can't express that. That's just really surprising after the really gentle ambience that's been panned in the background and the beat continuing into this this amount of dynamic performances. Woo! This is more characteristics, and this is something else. Something else. There's variety in Kendrick's music, and whereas with others like Run the Jewels to Danny Brown, they have their own spice, their own wonders. And I know that Kendrick Lamar has been one of my favorites, but I mean, he has creative freedom that I really, really enjoy so much. Track number 3, Worldwide Steppers. I was about to pause on the halfway point, but I couldn't. I was really focusing on what these lyrics are saying, and this is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing that he would basically reflect about the chaos, the mentality, and all these other things. Has a lot of digestion to really resonate, but this is like not sheer force, but it's like a heavy listening. Track number 4, Die Hard. I love this beat. This beat is maybe something from like a Motown type of thing. I could be wrong for what people would think of that. Full of banging repetition, you know. The pre-chorus from Blast is excellent. Totally excellent. And it's melodic. I like this one a lot. And the chorus from Amanda, wonderful. And I feel that it's gonna get better for the other tracks on the record. But the beat on this, jeez. Musically, this is spectacular. Spectacular. I know I said a lot of the stuff already about this track. Oh, man. Track number 5, Father Time. Wow. Wow. A lot of lyrics about the fatherhood. And this is brutal stuff. Brutal. Kendrick was on fire here. And I think that this brings in a ton of reflection from then to now for what many people are going through into their experiences of this topic, and the beat to it as well. It's like this classic, like late 80s or 90s hip-hop tradition in the background. I find this is one of the highlights on this album. No questions asked. Powerful. Track number 6, which is an interlude of Rich. A ton of manic piano playing, and it's quite all over the place while I was trying to follow what is going on into these lyrics. So I may need to switch back into this one and to dive into it. But we are almost into the first half on this album, because this is split into 2 sides. Track number 7, which is Rich Spirit. This has great rhythm, terrific ambience instrumentally, and paces itself really comfortably. I like that at some points Kendrick makes his own rapping style very separate in a diversion of rhythm. I like when rappers decide to expand and explore, add some versatility. Like I've mentioned about Danny Brown, he has his own flavors, and I really appreciate the talent that they do find and imagine what will work in anything into this direction of hip hop. I will have to say this, as I've been diving into these lyrics so far, the instrumentation is another important step into Kendrick's signature sound, because I adored a lot of the music from Untitled Unmastered, some jazzy, trip-hoppy experimentalisms, like with To Pimp a Butterfly, and even some from Good Kid, Mad City. But I will say this is as adventurous because they have these progressive parts, these fruitful to these visionary, clever techniques in the way some of these instrumentals were played out. Track number 8, We Cry Together. Woo! This is a brutal amount of arguing all over the place. I give Tyler as well as Kendrick a lot of credit, because this is the problem with something extremely problematic. And as I've been diving into more of these lyrics, you know, this is what it's like. Thankfully for me, I've never been in a situation over something like this, involving loads of vulgar and desperate mentality in a relationship, but I completely understand that other people go through this. But to put in these raw emotions into art, raw emotions, brutally, as I said, relevant. Oh man, oh man, should have continued on with this direction of hip hop, because this really makes me think of like Marshall Mathers LP Eminem, like Kim, for example. That is just destructive and so violent. Perfect. One of the highlights on the record, as well as some of the other ones I've mentioned previously. Let the arguments continue. What can I say? What can I say about this one? Woo! I was diving in. I like the instrumentation. Big props to Page and Lamar. Wow. Okay, so we are going to go into the last track on the first half of this album. Okay, track number 9, which is Purple Hearts. I was listening to this beat amongst what's going on in these lyrics here. This reminds me on Introducing by DJ Shadow, and I adore that album. One of my favourite albums of all time, one of my top 10 debuts of all time in general. And I think this has a beautiful resemblance of that. Okay, Ghostface Killer time. I do like a bit of Ghostface, and I love the Wu-Tang Clan as well. By the way, who's your favourite member of the Wu? But so far, so great. Brilliant vocals from Summer Walker. Her vocal harmonies, sweet, and the cleans are gorgeous. And I'm looking forward to what Ghostface has to say. Really enjoyed this one. What a wonderful match. like I said about Summer Walker, the voice of hers brings distinction, and you can't go wrong with Ghostface Killer. Who doesn't love any of the members from the Wu? And you can't go wrong with one member from the Wu with King Kendrick. Okay, so that's the first half of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And the first half of this album, by the way, is the Big Steppers. The second half is the first half of this album's title. There's a lot to really think and sink into this, but I am absorbing this so much. And it's going to take some time and patience to think about a lot of stuff going on with this record, as I've said that a few times, but this is impressive stuff. Woo! Right, I'm back for the second half of this record. Let's dive in once again. Track number 10, Count Me Out. I am at a loss for words. I love this. I love this. The beginning is like something from Damn, but as I was looking at this untitled, unmastered CD, some of the instrumentation makes me wonder on something like this. And the melodies, the confidence, the background vocals, I like this one very, very much. My favourite on the album at the moment. I love that. It's a masterpiece. You will say a lot of that word for a lot of the songs. Count Me Out is going to be one of my new favourite Kendrick songs. Track number 11, Crown. There's this repetition onto the bass and the piano, which it did sound very nice, but there's a little bit of a lacking feeling about it. Musically, it's not as experimental, but it's very minimal into what fits. Vocally, in these harmonies, just thinks to myself in like this, like a classic soul type of aspect into the sound of these vocals matching together. Despite what I had said on the criticism on the instrumentation side, absolutely liking the sheer honesty that, as the lyrics say, you can't please everybody. You just have to do what you want to do, and people just want to think that that you're the best, and there are others that are totally against what Kendrick has been doing into his art form of hip-hop. And I know there's a lot more to it in these lyrics. And the personal things on difficulty to struggles and love difficulties as well. But as when you think about it and pay attention into what you go through and what he went through, it all makes sense. That's why I will always regard Kendrick as one of the masters. Track 12, Silent Hill. I think this beat is awesome. That boom, it's bouncy. That stupendous tone on that electronic flavor. Kodak's guest performance on this was very good. Just totally brilliant. There's more variety in this album. There's more variety in this. Just like what the previous albums were. The more I think about it, will address that each album by Kendrick presents a progression as an artist and as well as instrumentally. Track number 13, Savior, which is an interlude. The orchestrations on this track works just as passionately like what Kendrick does, and I do like this interlude a lot. Track number 14, which is Savior again. That makes the return into more experimentalism, as I've said it a few times already, but there were sounds of reversed vocals and these different additions to pad things along, and even the references onto Vladimir, to COVID. He's talking about what's spreading about from the chaos right there and right now. Track 15, Auntie Diaries. This is another song where I find the clever material of lyrics defines. It's speaking about the acceptance onto different sexualities and transgender being one of them. And here's the thing. I believe that people who are transgender or any sexuality, they need to be accepted, because we do not need any division and negativity for anyone to really put them down, because they are as beautiful as anyone else. It's the same thing about people spreading more hate and divisions about the races. For people who are on the offensive way for their image, that needs to be sorted out. I am happy for these people for being themselves. Track number 16, Mr. Morale. The hyperness on the beat was creative, and it was jumping up and down, and I like the dramatic performance from Kendrick. It's so much of a transformation. That's how far he has become. Track number 17, Mother I Sober. Mad from what Kendrick went through. I know I was not moving much, but extremely deep, so personal, with what he was brave to do, into even thinking about writing the past. This is what it's all about. This is extremely rare for some rappers nowadays to even be this dark, and I have given a lot of respect for Lamar, but if you can power through it, if you want to do it at your own risk. This is another one of the best songs on this album. And Beth Gibbons, her voice was fantastic, pouring in some emotion. She's from Portishead, one of my new favourite bands. She adds this delicate mix into this texture. This is a gem. This is a gem of a track. You see, the thing is, if you are afraid to address anything that has to deal with these serious issues, I completely understand that it's too personal. But if you have strength to battle on and fight through what you went through, bravery beyond the highest levels, and if you go through abuse and powered through, you are a beautiful person. Because abuse is not the answer, love is the answer. I really think that ending with that little baby voice, that's adorable. Possibly the most powerful song that Kendrick has ever done. Great examples why I appreciate so much of the talents, the work, and the overall beauty of making hip-hop in this state what it is today. I like some hip-hop in this current formation. And Kendrick is one of the best. And I don't blame you if you think that Kendrick is the best in this generation. This made me in awe, to be brutally honest with you. Mother I Sober. This has to be documented even further. And I love that people really wanted to share their personal struggles, as I've been looking at the comments section while this track was playing. There's so much soul into this. I'm going to move on from this, but much love to Kendrick and especially the victims. They need help. Track 18, the final song on this album, Mirror. There's magical notes here, there, and everywhere musically. It's funky in places, and even on the keyboards that are synthetic but in that colourful way. And this boosts up the uplifting vibe after the punishing result from the last track, and I think that this is a perfect finale to finish this record. Okay, that is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. I cannot express how gracious we all are to hear one of the greatest artists of this era of hip-hop and in music. Now, I know that I am not a person that likes a ton. Besides that, I loved stuff from the 80s to the 90s, you know, the Cypress Hills, the Beastie Boys, the Public Enemies, you know, and even on some of the stuff later on that I love, like the last era, from Death Grips to Danny Brown, as I've said before, and gotten into the latest stuff from Tyler, the Creator. But Kendrick Lamar is, to me, one of the pinnacle legends. This is lyric writing at its rawest, its most destructive, its most emotional. I will say this right now, that Kendrick Lamar is the Bob Dylan of hip-hop. You may not agree, but he's up there into top-tier lyric writing. This has a lot to dive in with, a lot of repeated listens. But until then, this is one of the best albums of the year. So glad that I did discover Kendrick. I say at the right time, you know? So I will give you my big analysis of this album in my review coming up. And please share these messages to anyone else who have been going through intensity, the mentality and the negativity. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.